And you know you can't fight. You know you can't fight. And when you see one bullet, you see one bullet won't kill you.
Right. Where is the grant of amendment? Okay, so this committee meeting is now resumed. Member for point of view?
Sorry. Yes, Madam. Minister, when you look at the NIB website on qualifying for who must be registered for NIS, it has a bullet point here: foreign employees engaged in work in Trinidad and Tobago on a contract basis or on work permits. So the question I want to ask is that the present migrants who have been registered, and at some point in time they'll be getting this one-year registration card that allows them to work. So technically it's like a work permit. So I'm wondering, how would they now qualify? Would they have to be registered? The amendment is going to debar them from that. But what would this do to foreign employees as defined here in the NIB website? And the other part is who may not. Yeah.
Struggling to understand what the member for point of view is looking at. We don't look at websites, we look at laws. So could you refer me to the relevant section of the National Insurance Act that's troubling you?
Madam Chair, if someone has to know if they have to be registered for NIS or not, they will go to the NIS, the NIB website, and the website clearly states the qualification for registration. So an individual who wants to know if they qualify and what they have to do to be registered, they will go to the website. So it is technically the laws or the acts.
Madam Chairman, I can't accept that. We have a National Insurance Act.
Yeah, but member, just I haven't heard the question.
So the question I'm asking, Madam Chair, is that when you look at the definition here on the NIS, NIB website, it states foreign employees engaged in work in Trinidad and Tobago on a contract basis or work permits, right? So that what is happening now in the last couple of weeks with the registration of migrant workers from Venezuela, who will be given, at the end of the day, once they are successful, a one-year work permit. I am asking, how would this affect the registration process that is defined by the NIB Act or the NIB website based on the amendments that the Minister of Finance is bringing here to reclassify what is considered for individuals to be registered? So I'm just asking, if he's doing that, then he would have to, what it could do is affect the definition here where foreign employees who have a work permit. So I'm just seeking clarification, and also the time frame of how long would an individual be the work permit before they be considered registered and have to pay NIS.
So, member, I myself have a little difficulty in trying to understand what really is the question that the minister should address.
All right, the question,
in terms of the website, and how does this affect the website?
All right.
Okay, I have a difficulty in that. Okay, so I understand you be saying that there's something on the website. The minister is now trying to effect an amendment, and you have asked how does the amendment affect what is there on the website?
Correct.
I don't know that
Let me try it again.
Please.
Okay. On the NIB website, it states qualifying for registration, who must be registered. And one of the definitions of who should be registered, and it states foreign employees engaged in work in Trinidad and Tobago on a contract basis, foreign employees, or on a work permit.
Okay, so you're asking if that's the existing law?
Well, it's on the website. Yes, yes.
Is that the existing law?
Yes, I'm asking it. and if it would be amended.
What would be amended? But remember, what will be amended is what is stated in the amendment.
Yeah, but Madam Chairman, I think you should
But the
allow me to answer.
definition that is on the website of a foreign employee who has a work permit, Madam Speaker.
Madam Chairman, I want to repeat. We are amending Section 29(2) of the National Insurance Act. I took my time and I read out Section 29(2) of the National Insurance Act. I did not read out the website or anything else the member is reading. The relevance of what he's saying is impossible to determine because he's not referring to any section of the law. So it's impossible to answer the member. And what is also impossible for me to understand is if we are amending Section 29(2), which doesn't speak to any of those things he's talking about, it's impossible for me to understand what he's talking about. We are amending 29(2). And 29(2) will give the Cabinet the authority to exempt certain categories of workers for certain periods from the requirement for registration for NIS. Whether they're on work permits, not on work permits, whether they're foreign, whether they're local, whether there's some kind of hybrid, this gives the government the authority to exempt certain categories of persons for certain periods of time. So it has nothing to do with work permits on what on any website. So I can't answer it.
Okay, Member, we do things in a certain kind of order here. Member for Oropuch East.
Much, Madam Speaker. I'm just continuing the submission that I started before the unexpected break. Madam Speaker, I was making the point that the workers in question that the minister will define are not necessarily workers. They could be workers at elementary occupation, managerial positions, supervisory positions, workers at every level of an industry. So that hypothetically, CPEP can employ workers to work, and CPEP will not be required to pay the 2/3 contribution to the NIS for that worker, but will be required to pay for another worker, presumably a local worker. So it is a built-in incentive for people to hire workers who are captured under this. The second point relating to this is that in the event that this benefit is given to a worker for 1 year or whatever time the minister determined, if it is that that worker continues for any reason in the employ in Trinidad and Tobago of either the current employer or another employer, what then happens? Does their NIS begin all over again? Do they have to start paying again if they continue in employment for any other policy change or any other program change that may be contemplated? This is a debate in which we heard people can get pensions and what might be contemplated.
Yeah, but
this is now, I'm now asking whether or not they factor in. What happens to a worker then after 1 year or whatever the time? Do they then start overpaying NIS? That's all.
I'm just reminded, Member for Oropuch East, that you are the one who in fact reminded us that this is not a debate. Okay, so
I leave it there.
the question, all right, so Member for Kamuto Mansanilla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just building on the point that my colleague spoke about, the National Insurance Act indicates that an employee would contribute 1/3 and an employer 2/3. Has the government considered at all the impact that this amendment will have on our citizens, whereby...
Member for Kamuto Mansanilla, again, that was for the debate. Do you want to raise a particular issue on this amendment?
Yes, and the amendment is that you want to, the employment of such category of persons during such period. So I'm asking, when you consider, has the government considered that when they employ such category of persons during a period, if the government has considered how this amendment will impact upon citizens who now will be required by law to pay NIS and the employers 2/3, and the employers given preference to
I think it's the same
non-nationals.
question that Oropuch East asked.
But has
Member
the
for
government
Superior?
considered it?
Member for Superior? No. Member for Couva South? No. Member for Naparima? No. Member for Laventille West? Okay, so I'll put the question now.
Been asked questions, I'd like to answer them.
No, I didn't allow those questions. From
Madam
Member for
Speaker?
Kamuto, Manzanaland.
You didn't allow any of them?
No.
Okay.
No. You have another question?
Can the minister
Member for
indicate?
Morugua, member for Tableland. As I say, I would like us all at this stage to practice temperance. You know, I made a facetious comment that we'll be here till Monday. I didn't really think that members would put me to the test. Member for Kamutu Manson, you had another question?
Yes. Can the honorable minister indicate how many persons he thinks that this clause would impact?
I'm not allowing that. Member for Caroni Central.
Yeah, a quick question to the Minister of Finance. When the Prime Minister spoke in relation to this matter, he indicated that, you know, he's trying to solve a problem here, which I understand, and that he cannot tell businessmen who to hire. And sometimes, you know, you try to fix a problem and you do create other things. I want to ask just one question in relation to that background, which is, does the Minister of Finance anticipate that with this amendment, we are going to end up with any problems of seeming disparity between these Venezuelans entering here with a work permit and nationals of Trinidad and Tobago?
I also will not allow that. That was covered in the debate. Member for Kamutu Manson.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Minister, have you considered how loss of income for NIS will impact upon the entire scheme for the future?
Not allowing that question. All of that was covered in the debate. I'm not allowing that. Close it. The question is that clause 8 be amended as circulated by the opposition, which would be to delete clause 8. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say no.
No.
I think the noes have it. The question is that clause 8 now stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. No.
Mr. Imbert?
Yes.
Right, be careful.
Dr. Raleigh?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Mr. Diase?
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson Ritchie? Aye. Mr. Hines?
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell?
Aye.
Ms. Kudrow?
Aye.
Mr. Garcia?
Yes.
Mrs. Critchell Coogan?
Aye.
Mr. Ford?
Yes.
Mr. Dillon?
Aye.
Mrs. Webster Roy?
Aye.
Dr. Gatsby Dolly?
Aye.
Ms. McDonald?
Yes.
Dr. Francis?
Yes.
Mrs. Jennings Smith?
Yes.
Ms. Oliver?
Aye.
Mr. Antoine?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Coffey?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
No.
Mrs. Passad Bisasa?
No.
Mr. Charles?
No.
Dr. Ramadan?
No.
Mr. Karen?
No.
Dr. Tawari?
No.
Dr. Munilal?
No.
Mrs. Nawalo
No.
Hassan? Dr. Gopi Singh?
No.
Mrs. Gardine Gopi Singh?
No.
Mr. Indar Singh?
No.
Mr. Ramadan?
No.
Mr. Padara? Dr. Bodo?
No.
Mr. Parry?
No.
Ms. Ramgiel?
No.
On a division, 19 members voted for, 16 members voted against, there were no abstentions. So clause 8 now stands part of the bill.
Clause 9.
The question is that clause 9 stand part of the bill. Leader of the opposition. Leader of the opposition. Leader of the opposition.
Clause 9. With respect to the central bank amendments, I have circulated an amendment asking for this clause to be deleted. I do not wish to repeat the debate, but I have serious concerns on this, this proposed clause 9, especially with respect to 9(6)(a), salary and terms and conditions of employment of governor, deputy governors, directors, officers, and employees. And then the C of that, such other matters relating to the employment of staff as the minister thinks fit. I have a serious problem with this kind of information. I am respectful that it is violating rights from the section, from the Bill of Rights of our Constitution, and therefore I cannot support this amendment to the Central Bank Act. And I so move, Madam, the amendment.
Minister of Finance.
Madam Chairman, we on this side do not share that view. And clearly, UNC Senator Obika doesn't share that view either, because he asked for the salary of the governor of the central bank in the parliament as a member of the UNC just 2 months ago. I don't know what kind of political party the member of Mr. Parry is running.
Member, Minister of Finance, what I'd say is what is done in the Senate is done in the Senate. Member for Caroni Central.
I said party.
Central. The, Madam Chair, you know, during the debate, the Minister of Finance said that you can do something retroactively if it confers a benefit. And I noticed that in clause 9(7), is that right? There is a retroactive clause. And I want to ask the Minister of Finance, what is the benefit that is conferred by this amendment that allows it to be retroactive?
That's all we have to say on it.
Member for Nafrimo.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Would the minister explain E, such other matters relating to the employment of staff as the minister thinks fit? Does the minister not think that this gives him an overly intrusive overreach into the staffing arrangements, employment arrangements, who they hire, etc., in the central bank, and this is not is inconsistent with the arm's length relationship that is needed in these circumstances?
Yes, this question follows a similar pattern of misinformation. All the minister is doing here is requesting and receiving information. This does not give the minister any power to say who should be hired at the bank, what salary they should get, who should not be hired at the bank, what qualifications it should have. None of that. This is simply in the context of the demand by the opposition and others for freedom of information. This cannot possibly give the minister any power to interfere in the running of the bank.
Member for Caroni Central.
Would the minister consider bringing the central bank under the Freedom of Information Act?
That is not before us, Madam Speaker.
I just want to remind members that in the committee, you only discuss the details of the bill and not general merits and principles and so on. Okay, so that the question is that Clause 9 be amended as circulated by the opposition, that is to delete the clause. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no.
No.
I think the noes have it. The question is that Clause 9 now stands part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. No.
Mr. Imbert,
Yes.
Dr. Rowley,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Diakse,
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson-Ritchie,
Aye.
Mr. Hine,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Aye.
Ms. Kudrow,
Aye.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mrs. Critchell-Tobin,
Aye.
Mr. Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Dillon,
Aye.
Mrs. Webster-Roy,
Aye.
Dr. Gatsby-Dully,
Aye.
Ms. McDonald,
Yes.
Dr. Francis,
Yes.
Mrs. Jennings-Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Oliver,
Aye.
Mr. Antwine,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Cuffey,
Yes.
Mr. Lee,
No.
Mrs. Prasad-Bisessa,
No?
Mr. Charles,
No.
Dr. Ramachan,
No.
Mr. Karen,
No.
Dr. Tuari,
No.
Dr. Munira,
No.
Mrs. Nawal Hassan,
No.
Dr. Gopi Singh,
No.
Mrs. Gardine Gopi Singh,
No.
Mr. Indar Singh,
No.
Mr. Ramadar,
No.
Mr. Padaris,
No.
Dr. Bodo,
No.
Mr. Parry,
No.
Ms. Ramdiar,
No.
Members on a division, 21 members voted for, 16 members voted against. There were no abstentions, so that Clause 9 now stands part of the bill.
Clause 10,
The question is that Clause 10 stand part of the bill. Leader of the Opposition.
Chair, the original bill has a clause 10, which speaks to Section 27 of the Non-Profit Organization Act 2019 to be amended. And the amendment circulated today talks about a new clause 10 to be inserted after clause 9. I am a little concerned, madam, as to whether we are deleting the existing 10 in the bill, and then therefore if this is to be worded, numbered consecutively, it should be
I
11. I need to, can I
I
get that?
believe the sheet tells us we number clauses accordingly.
So we will keep the existing 10.
Right, so we are dealing with the existing 10 in the bill, and then I'll put
Sure.
a
Thank
question
you.
about a new clause.
Thank you for the clarification. Again, we are having the minister being given the power to extend a period of time under the Non-Profit Organizations Act. I am not in agreement for the minister to be given that power. The act gave a time frame. And I am not in support of the policy decision, again, to give this power to the minister without any recourse to the Parliament.
Minister?
That's a standard clause that exists in so many pieces of legislation. It
It's
isn't
in
funny.
everyone.
The member opposite me has promoted legislation in this parliament that has identical clauses. What this does is gives the minister the power not to impose onerous conditions on non-profit organizations. It's a benefit so that it allows the minister to extend the period of compliance for non-profit organizations by up to 12 months. I can't believe that members opposite are opposing a benefit. I could say what I want.
Okay. So the question is that clause 10 be amended as proposed by the opposition. That would be to delete clause 10. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. No. I think the noes have it. The question is that clause 10 now stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. Clause 10 now stands part of the bill. Okay, so might I inquire, Minister, is there an intention to revisit any clause?
No. Okay. What we have looked at the amendment regarding judges and so on, and it appears to be in order. And as I had indicated earlier, we will look at it over the weekend, and if it requires amendment, I will settle that in the Senate. But right now, I still believe that it will give an enhanced pension to retired judges.
New clause 10, chapter 8101 amended.
The question is that new clause 10 be read a second time. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Yeah, you'll get to speak on it. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The clause will now be read a second time.
New clause 10, chapter 8101 amended.
The question is that new clause 10 be added to the bill. Minister of Finance.
Madam Chairman, currently there's a waiver in force of all penalties due and payable for the failure to deliver or file with the registrar any document required to be delivered or filed under the Act. This would include annual returns. So currently there's an amnesty in place for the filing of annual returns. And what this does is gives the minister the ability to extend that amnesty by order. It's a benefit.
Leader of the
You
opposition.
kindly, this was not part of the debate as far as I can recall, because this is an amendment upon the amendments. And I would ask the Honourable Minister to kindly share with us the rationale for giving himself the power again by order to extend the waiver time without parliamentary oversight, whether by affirmative or negative resolution. What is the Minister's rationale that he felt it necessary to extend the waiver that was given just a few months ago? We came to the Parliament and passed Act 6 of 2019, which was an amendment to the Companies Bill 2018. And there are all kinds of very nice clauses in here. Matters dealing with share certificates and beneficial ownership. And the Attorney General, San Fernando West, waxed really warm on all these lovely provisions to make sure you stamp out corruption and deal with all manner of things. And to date, Madam, from my research on the Parliament website, the only clause which converted into a section that has been proclaimed out of this company's amendment 6 of 2019 is the waiver And we're coming now to put a waiver on top of that waiver to give the minister the power. So first, the rationale, please. And why is it that you will not have any parliamentary oversight on the empowering and the powers being given to the minister?
As I said, Madam Chairman, this is standard in so many laws, promoted, voted,
No.
promulgated by the Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
No.
So we're using the same policy that you used when you passed laws like this. Check yourself.
Madam Speaker, if I may, we were here in Parliament just a couple of months ago to pass the Act to amend the Companies Act, which became Act 6 of 2019. That had no such power given to the minister. The minister was given a waiver period, 1st May 2019 to 30th August 2019. The only clause proclaimed that waiver. The minister comes even before the waiver has expired to give himself the power to extend by order, to extend the waivers. There must be a reason why the minister felt it necessary to extend this indefinitely. It would seem by order, whatever he may prescribe, whether today, whether next week, whether next year, next month, this power will be there all the time. Why?
Just like power.
Chairman, I don't wish to repeat myself again. This is standard legislation that exists in laws, promoted, voted, promulgated, enacted, assented to, and proclaimed by the Honourable Member for Siparia when she was the Prime Minister. So I suggest she look at her policy because we're following the same policy.
The question is that new clause 10 be added to the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. News clause 10 now stands part of the bill. Members, we revert to clause 1.
Clause 1.
The question is that clause 1 stand part of the bill. Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, this is to accommodate the amendment we just made, so that in the title of the bill, which is Tax Amnesty, Pensions, Freedom of Information, National Insurance, Central Bank, and non-profit organizations, we add the word companies after the word Central Bank. It's just for accuracy.
Leader of the Opposition.
No objection.
Okay. The question is that clause 1 be amended as circulated by the government. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The question is that clause 1 as amended now stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it.
The schedule.
Excuse me. The question is that the schedule stand part of the bill. Minister.
That all of them.
Minister, schedule.
Madam Chairman, we are adding, as I indicated, it is the policy of the government that we waive penalties and interest on all taxes that attract penalties and interest, so that we are adding these particular acts at this point in time to fulfill that policy. Registration of Clubs Act, which will be Gaming and Gambling Taxes, Unemployment Levy Act, which is a levy paid by all companies, Health Surcharge Act, Stamp Duty Act, to deal with persons who may owe stamp duty, and Section 54 of the Property Tax Act, which is the section that deals with outstanding land and building taxes. And we also add the words, we are taking out Part 10 and replacing it with nine, 11, 13, 14, and 15 of the Miscellaneous Taxes Act. Yes. And these deal with things such as hotel tax and so on. So what we're trying to do is to cover every single tax that attracts a penalty or interest. We are providing a waiver on that penalty or interest during the amnesty period. So that's all. It's just a tidying up. I think we've got it all. I don't think there's any tax that we have not covered. The last one that we are dealing with now is addition of stamp duties.
I recognize the leader of the opposition, and then
Chair,
I take it,
as indicated earlier, we have no objection to the tax amnesty. We have no objection to the enlarging of the number of revenue statutes, and hopefully the minister will not need to come back to get an order to add any others. Hopefully this covers all of them. We have no objection whatsoever to this.
Now, did I hear, okay, Member Carney East.
Yes, Madam Chair, in keeping what the minister said, that he would like to include almost all the areas which are subject to taxation and the penalties and so on and interest that go with it. I want to ask whether the area of the Green Fund levy, which is not here, wait, hold on, and the insurance areas, they are not incorporated here, Honorable Minister. So I just want to ask you, where is the Green Fund levy in this? The insurance surrender and the insurance premium taxes. Where is that incorporated in this?
Minister of Finance.
Madam Chairman, it's so difficult dealing with statements made by members opposite which are just not true. We are including parts 9, 11, 13, 14, and 15 of the Miscellaneous Taxes Act. And if a member was paying attention,
No, I paid
the
attention.
Green Fund
But I don't have
is,
that.
Madam,
Go ahead, go ahead.
just because the member hasn't done his homework,
Oh, come on.
just because the member has not read the Miscellaneous Taxes Act and does not know that Green Fund levy is covered in the Miscellaneous Taxes Act, that is not a reason to put misinformation in the system. This amendment to substitute Part 9, Part 11, Part 13, Part 14, and Part 15 will cover all of those taxes that the member thinks are left out. Green Fund is in the Miscellaneous Taxes Act.
Serious.
That's there too.
All right, okay.
Everything there.
But you don't have to be so arrogant.
All right.
You misbehaving.
Honorable members, it's now Saturday morning. Good morning to you all. The question is, oh, sorry. Yes, you want the schedule?
Sure. Can
Yeah,
I
we'll
raise
continue.
something after the schedule, please? No, I've already said we support the schedule changes, yeah.
Okay. The question is that the schedule be amended as circulated by the government. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. Just now. You want the division now? Or you want it now? Yeah, okay, well, let's go and then I'll put it.
Mr. Imbert,
Of course, yes.
Dr. Rowley,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Dianse,
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson-Ritchie,
Aye.
Mr. Hines,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Aye.
Ms. Kudrow,
Aye.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mrs. Pritchard Kuban,
Aye.
Mr. Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Dillon,
Aye.
Mrs. Webster Roy, Dr. Gatsby Dolly,
Aye.
Ms. McDonald,
Yes.
Dr. Francis,
Yes.
Mrs. Jennings-Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Oliver,
Aye.
Mr. Antoine,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Coffey,
Yes.
Mr. Lee,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mrs. Fasad Bisessa,
Yes?
Mr. Charles,
Yes.
Dr. Rambachan,
Yes.
Dr. Rambachan, Mr. Karim,
Yes.
Dr. Tawari,
Yes.
Dr. Munirao,
Yes.
Mrs. Nawal Hussain,
Yes.
Dr. Gopi Singh,
Yes.
Mrs. Guardian Gopi Singh,
Yes.
Mr. Indar Singh,
Yes.
Mr. Ramadan,
Yes.
Mr. Padaris,
Yes.
Dr. Bodo,
Yes.
Mr. Pari,
Yes.
Ms. Ramdial,
Yes. So what is on? Honorable members, on a division, 36 members voted for, no members voted against, there were no abstentions. So the question has been carried. The question is that the schedule, as amended, now stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The schedule, as amended, now stands part of the bill. Honorable members, due to the amendments that have been made to the bill, the title of the bill has to be amended to read as follows. An act to provide for a tax amnesty in relation to certain revenue laws and to amend the Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Act, Chapter 203, the President's Emoluments Act, Chapter 250, the Prime Minister's Pension Act, Chapter 251, the Judges' Salaries and Pensions Act, Chapter 602, the Freedom of Information Act, Chapter 2202, the National Insurance Act, Chapter 3201, the Central Bank Act, Chapter 7902, the Companies Act, Chapter 8101, and the Non-Profit Organizations Act, 2019, Act Number 7 of 2019. Honorable members, the question is that the bill as amended be now reported to the House. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. This committee meeting is now adjourned. The House will resume.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to report that the miscellaneous provisions, tax amnesty, pensions, freedom of information, national insurance, central bank, and non-profit organizations bill 2019 was considered in Committee of the Whole and approved with amendments. I specially report that the title of the bill was amended to read as follows. An act to provide for a tax amnesty.
Honorable members, I greet you all with good morning. I hope we could start today, while it's the same sitting, on a new footing. Okay? Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Madam. I was actually being disturbed by the member for Superior. I specially report that the title of the bill was amended to read as follows. An act to, and the members disturbed me again. An act to provide for a tax amnesty in relation to certain revenue laws and to amend the Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Act, Chapter 203,
the President's Emoluments Act, Chapter 250, the Prime Minister's Pensions Act, Chapter 251, the Judges' Salaries and Pensions Act, Chapter 602, the Freedom of Information Act, Chapter 2202, the National Insurance Act, Chapter 3201, the Central Bank Act, Chapter 7902, the Companies Act, Chapter 8101, and the Non-Profit Organizations Act 2019, Act Number 7 of 2019. I now beg to move that the House agree with the committee's report.
Honorable members, the question is that this House agree with the committee's report on the miscellaneous provisions, tax amnesty, pensions, freedom of information, national insurance, central bank, companies, and non-profit organizations bill 2019. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? No. The ayes have it. Minister of Finance.
Wicked. Don't like judges at all. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that a bill entitled An Act to Provide for a Tax Amnesty in relation to certain revenue laws and to amend the Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Act, Chapter 203, the President's Emoluments Act, Chapter 250, the Prime Minister's Pensions Act, Chapter 251, the Judges' Salaries and Pensions Act, Chapter 602, the Freedom of Information Act, Chapter 2202, the National Insurance Act, Chapter 3201, the Central Bank Act, Chapter 7902, the Companies Act, Chapter 8101, and the Non-Profit Organizations Act 2019, Act Number 7 of 2019, be forthwith read a third time and passed.
Honorable members, the question is that a bill entitled An Act to Provide for a Tax Amnesty in relation to certain revenue laws and to amend the Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Act, Chapter 203, the President's Emoluments Act, Chapter 250, the Prime Minister's Pensions Act, Chapter 251, the Judges' Salaries and Pensions Act, Chapter 602, the Freedom of Information Act, Chapter 2202, the National Insurance Act, Chapter 3201, the Central Bank Act, Chapter 7902, the Companies Act, Chapter 8101, and the Non-Profit Organizations Act 2019, Act Number 7 of 2019 be now read a third time and passed. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any against? No.
Mr. Imbert,
Yes.
Dr. Rowley,
Yes.
Mr. Young,
Yes.
Mr. Dial Singh,
Yes.
Mrs. Robinson Regis,
Aye.
Mr. Hines,
Aye.
Mr. Mitchell,
Aye.
Ms. Kujo,
Aye.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
Mrs. Critchlow Coburn,
Aye.
Mr. Ford,
Yes.
Mr. Dillon,
Aye.
Mrs. Webster Roy,
Aye.
Dr. Gadsby Dolly,
Aye.
Ms. McDonald,
Yes.
Dr. Francis,
Yes.
Mrs. Jennings Smith,
Yes.
Ms. Oliver,
Yes.
Mr. Antwine,
Yes.
Mrs. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Coffey,
Yes.
Dr. Lee,
No.
Mrs. Prasad Cecil,
No.
Mr. Charles,
No.
Dr. Rambajan,
No.
Mr. Karim,
No.
Dr. Tiwari,
No.
Dr. Tiwari,
Sorry, no.
Dr. Munilal,
No.
Mrs. Nawala Hussain,
No.
Dr. Gopi Singh,
No.
Mrs. Gayadeen Gopi Singh,
No.
Mr. Indar Singh,
No.
Mr. Ramadan,
No.
Mr. Padaras,
No.
Dr. Bodo,
No.
Mr. Parry,
No.
Ms. Ramdial.
No.
Honorable members, on a division, 21 members voted for, 16 members voted against. There were no abstentions. The motion is carried.
A bill entitled An Act to Provide for a Tax Amnesty in relation to certain revenue laws and to amend the Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Act, Chapter 203, the President...
One minute, please. I just reminded us it's a new day. Clerk. Clerk.
A bill entitled An Act to Provide for a Tax Amnesty in relation to certain revenue laws and to amend the Retiring Allowances Legislative Service Act, Chapter 203, the President's Emoluments Act, Chapter 250, the Prime Minister's Pensions Act, Chapter 251, the Judges' Salaries and Pensions Act, Chapter 602, the Freedom of Information Act, Chapter 2202, the National Insurance Act, Chapter 3201, the Central Bank Act, Chapter 7902, the Companies Act, Chapter 8101, and the Non-Profit Organizations Act, 2019, Act Number 7 of 2019.
Minister of Finance, having regard to your demonstrations, I thought you would have quickly removed from that seat.
Madam Speaker, may I be allowed to address you from this seat?
I've just given a hint to your friend. Quickly. The House.
Thank you very kindly, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, before I move the adjournment, may I indicate that by agreement, the matter on the adjournment is being deferred to the next sitting. Thank you. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House to now adjourn to Tuesday, the 18th day of June at 1:30 p.m., at which time we will do a bill entitled An Act to Validate the Constitution of Licensing Committees established under Section 5 of the Liquor Licenses Act, Chapter 8410, as well as the grant, transfer, and renewal of licenses, and all other acts and omissions by licensing committees and for related matters. Madam Speaker, may I also indicate that if there are any amendments from the Senate, that we'll do them on that day also. I beg to move.
Honorable members, the matter on the adjournment by agreement is now deferred to the next sitting of the House. And before I put the question on the motion of the adjournment, I now wish to invite greetings on the occasion of Labor Day and Corpus Christi. Leader of the House. Well, having regard to the fact.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I'll also defer that to Tuesday. And then I have one more announcement before I put the question. Honorable members, as you may be aware, the 5th Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Edward Seaga, ON, PC, passed away on Tuesday, May 28th, 2019 in the United States of America. A condolence book will be opened in his honor in the Sir Ellis Clark Corridor, mezzanine floor, Office of the Parliament, from 9:30 a.m. on Monday, 17 June, Tuesday, 18 June, and Friday, 21st June 2019, to give members the opportunity to express their sympathies. Honorable members, the question is that this House do now adjourn to Tuesday, 18 June 2019 at 1:30 p.m. All in favor say aye. Any against? The ayes have it. This House now stands adjourned to Tuesday, 18 June 2019 at 1:30. This House now stands adjourned to Tuesday, the 18th June 2019 at 1:30 p.m.